along with nearly half of humankind, anxiously awaited the release of the 7th and final installment of, in my eyes, the greatest literary series ever written. That's right, Mr. Absey, Harry Potter. I anticipated with bated breath its July 13th release, a date seared in my memory for eternity, simultaneously yearning for the feel of the book between my hands and dreading the last word on the 784th page. While I longed to learn the denouement of the saga, the resolution of Harry's battle with Lord Voldemort, the end of the struggle between good and evil, that this was the last book and that no others would ever follow, was depressing. Really, really depressing. The thought of never again opening a new Harry Potter book, of never again stepping into that other world, was horrifying. For Harry's world was seemingly so much better than my own. It was a world of magic potions, flying brooms, exotic creatures, and characters I truly cared for. And I could not imagine my life without such a world to escape to. As July 13th drew closer, my world started to feel like a ticking time bomb, for that date represented one of the most frightening occasions. The end. The end of a series, the end of an era, the end of my childhood, the end of a part of myself. I had grown up with Harry, watching him grow as I did, from a child into a young adult. With the end of the Harry Potter series, I would lose not only a beloved book, but also a beloved friend. It may sound overly dramatic to speak of a book series in terms of such weight and gravity, but those who have let Harry Potter into their hearts understand my emotional attachment, and those who have not, my own mother included, can surely still realize why its end affected me so. For the end of anything held dear is met with tears, whether shed or held back, and I truly loved Harry Potter. I loved him so much that I was furious when I turned the page after the last chapter and read the despised word atop the next, epilogue. I was angry enough by that point, for I had truly believed that the only way the series could possibly end was with Harry's death. It is not that I wanted Harry to die. Believe me, I was already making preparations for a long, arduous state of mourning and depression. But I felt he had to, in order for the ending to have the right impact, the right weight. In case you are unaware, Harry did not die. And while the series did not end the way I had imagined, by the time I reached the epilogue, I had accepted that Harry was alive and well, that Voldemort had been destroyed and good had triumphed over evil. And I appreciated this ending. For while there was closure and resolution, there was not really a sense of finality. Voldemort had been killed and Harry had lived, but others had died. The Death Eaters, Voldemort's followers, were still at large, and the future was unclear. The past 3 books had been filled with pain, struggle, and death, and Harry's victory at the end of the 7th book did not erase that fact. Even though good had triumphed, the pain was still present, a pain that was necessary to remind us that what had happened had truly happened, and that the future was still to come. The book had ended, the series had ended, but Harry Potter had not. The epilogue, however, changed all of that. Now listen closely, for you will never again hear me utter a word of criticism toward the author of the book I treasure so dearly, but I must take a moment to do so now. I don't know that I can ever forgive J.K. Rowling for that epilogue, for it ended Harry Potter. Not only Harry Potter the book, but Harry Potter the boy, the hero. It erased the Harry Potter I knew and replaced him with a middle-aged man who I could not imagine or even believe. Instead of enlightening her readers about the events immediately following Voldemort's death, such as how Harry and his friends coped with the losses of so many loved ones, what became of the Death Eaters, or how the world put itself back together after so much evil and destruction, Rowling provided an all too happily ever after. Harry and his friends grew up, became parents, and lived perfect lives for the rest of their days, as if they had never experienced any of the events contained in the thousands of pages I had spent so many years living and reliving with them. The epilogue forced a future upon the reader, a future that was hardly believable, a future that undermined all of Harry's past experiences and disallowed any imagination as to the events beyond the final chapter. It symbolized an absolute end, an inescapable end, without any other possible outcomes. With that epilogue, Rowling took away my last shred of hope, that even though Harry Potter had ended, Harry and his world could still live on in my mind and in my heart, that I could imagine his future the way I wanted to, the way I believed it should be. That the epilogue prevented this, prevented me from keeping that last bit of Harry alive, left me feeling numb, as though everything prior had meant nothing. For what does the past really count for if there is no future? Today is the end of high school. It is the end of not only a chapter, but of an entire book, of an entire series even. But the difference is that no one has written our epilogue. We don't know what our futures hold. We have ideas, yes. We have dreams and hopes and plans, but there is no finality. There is no time bomb ticking away, counting down the seconds until our futures are gone. We have our entire lives ahead of us, lives that we have the ability to lead the way we choose. And while this is the end of our pasts, it is where the rest of our lives begin. What we do next has not yet been written. Will never be written, unless we write it ourselves. Our pasts have been written, and one day our epilogues will be written as well. But that day is not today. Today is for us. Today is the beginning of the unwritten, of the unknown, of the futures that we alone can create. So use your futures wisely. Live as you will, for now is the time to live for yourself and to escape the dictations of others. Embrace your future, but remember your past. Reread it over and over like a favorite book. And never forget the days you spent walking through these halls, whether enjoyable or less than. Remember those you've met, those you've loved, those who've touched and inspired you. Whether you loved every minute of high school or could hardly wait for it to end, there exists something behind those walls that ties us here forever, whether we like it or not. And while some things will be only too easy to leave behind, others will prove more difficult, especially the people we have let into our hearts and allowed to affect and inspire us in ways they will never know. It may be hard to believe, and you may deny it even now, but there will most likely come a day in each of our lives when we actually miss this place. I never imagined that day would come for me, but I already find myself missing the in-depth and controversial book discussions in Ms. Bashara's class, the political debates that had absolutely nothing to do with calculus in Ms. Cal's class, and the captivating lectures that, although sometimes incomprehensible, only sparked my interest and fueled my love for physics, my future major, in Mr. Linguist's class. I know that these experiences I've had and the people I've known will remain a part of me. They have been imprinted in my mind and in my heart, and like a book that I've read perhaps too many times, I will remember every word. I urge you all to do the same. Look back at your past often so that you will never forget any moment or how that moment felt. Remember how it felt to be a timid freshman and a glorious senior. Remember the good days and the bad. Remember all you've learned, whether it be about school, the world, or yourself. Remember today, and how it feels to stand at the edge of your past, at the precipice of your future. Remember who you were so that you may better know how to become who you want to be. Everything we've experienced will forever be a part of us, and we will carry our pasts with us into the future. Today, the last page has been written, and it is now up to all of us to make our own decisions and live our own lives, so that one day far from now, we can write our own epilogues. Thank you.